99.3 Nigeria Info. A very lovely morning to you, Lagos. Welcome to the morning Crossfire, your number one news, talk, and sports radio station. I am Sheriff Quadry. We have an interesting conversation lined up for you, and you really shouldn't miss this for anything. You can watch us live on YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. On Twitter, we're also there live. I mean, you can actually see us live on those platforms. On Twitter, you can follow us at Nigeria Info FM. Our WhatsApp portal is open for you because this conversation is everybody's conversation. That's why you should be joining. The WhatsApp line is 0809 597 5805. That is 0809 597 5805. On today's Morning Crossfire, we're discussing indiscriminate sighting of petrol stations, particularly in Lagos. We have a case point in focus, the Akoka residents allegation. And we have joining us over the phone, Mr. Olufunmilayo Shifui. He's the General Manager at Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
We also have Engineer Adewale in the studio. Engineer Adewale is a resident of the affected part of Akoka when it comes to water table pollution. As regards this topic we're talking about, Engineer Adeyombo, welcome.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you.
We also have Ms. Chinaye Umeke in the studio. She's also a resident of that area. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Like I said earlier, you can watch us live on YouTube and Facebook, not forgetting Twitter. Let's have this conversation as we go along on the show this morning. Let's start with Mr. Olufunmilayo, the General Manager at Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. Just to be clear, sir, let's start with the master plan of Lagos. Is there a master plan for Lagos? Because this argument has been on for quite some time. Do we have a master plan for Lagos?
Yeah, let me just first of all correct an impression.
Yes, please.
My MDA, my agency is actually Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, one of the 5 agencies under the overall umbrella of the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Okay.
So we have a permanent secretary as the head of the administration there, and we also have an honorable commissioner as the political head. So I'm just one of the agencies head of agencies
under the ministry.
Yes. Back to your question. Yes, Lagos State do have a master plan, and below this general master plan, we have what is also known as model city plans, development guide plans, depending on the levels of these plans. So they covers all the Lagos State.
Indeed.
Yeah.
If we have this master plan, would you say that we're still on track as regards the actualization of these master plan?
Yes. I want to say that the very indigenous master plan we had, and that was 1980 to 2000, about 20% of that master plan was actually implemented. And this they led to a series of reviews.
Okay.
One was done in 2002, and when we now realize that Lagos is not developing this at the same pace, then the introduction of model city and master plan in some areas now came on board. For example, the major part of Lagos, the metropolitan part of Lagos, which is highly densely area, are actually covered with various model city plans. If I want to mention some, I will mention places like Lagos Mainland Model City Master Plan, Ikoyi Model City Master Plan, Surulere Model City Master Plan, Agege Model City Master Plan, and so on and so forth. But at the periphery of Lagos, we christen these development plans as the master plan. For example, Epe, Badagry, and Ikorodu is almost finishing now. It's at the final draft stage, as well as Oshodi. We also have another one that just almost concluded, and that is push of a master plan.
Indeed. If we're talking about master plan, there must be regulation of putting up structures and the kind of structures that, must be put up in certain areas. What is the process like in putting up a filling station?
Yeah. Now, I've mentioned some levels of master plans initially. At the level of a street level, that is where you can see some plots, right? We have schemes, both government and the private scheme. Let me give an example. Maybe Magodo, or maybe you want to talk about Magodo or GRA, Keja or Apapa. These are the level of a street level master plan.
Okay.
Or so to say. Now, in every plot there, or block of plot there, you will see how those plots can be used or can be put into use. And where you see a petrol filling station, you will see that that master plan for that area has a petrol designated site. And we also see other infrastructural facilities within those master plans where it's laid out. And most of all these master plans also have what we also call approval orders.
Okay.
Approval orders are just like the working template, how those places could be put to use. It's more or less carved out of the regulations for those areas. By and large, we also have what is also known as a general regulations for building development. And I must also inform that just of recent, about 3 weeks ago, this was now signed into operation by the incumbent Honorable Commissioner.
I'm glad you mentioned a couple of laws, or I don't know what to call it really, earlier on in a statement about designated sites and you also mentioned approval order and all of these things, even general regulation. But the issue now is, in all of these that you've mentioned, where does monitoring come in as regards somebody being given an approval to do something and the person goes on ahead to do another thing?
Yeah, thank you. In the past, both the issuance of permit and monitoring the content of the permit are within the same institution. That is, then it was called Lagos State Fiscal Development Authority. But the new law of 2010 that we are running now divided the operations into two. So my own institution is now for the issuance of process and issuance of permit only.
Okay.
Why the other agency, my sister agency that carved out of the old institution, is now called Lagos State Building Control Agency.
All right.
Our job is to look after the stage certification of every development in Lagos State to make sure that they build according to what I have issued out as a permit.
In issuing out permits, is it normal to issue permit to somebody to build a petrol station or gas station in residential area?
Yeah. Let me mention that some of this infrastructure or just some of this amenity are actually meant for residential area, but you must follow the set standard.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, I do not expect to put a petrol station or gas station within the core residential area, but rather, most of these access roads to these residential areas are also opens up into the distributor road. These distributor roads are where those things like this can now locate.
Okay.
And it has some standards. Standards in the sense that from one petrol filling station to another petrol filling station on the same side of the road must maintain 400 meters.
On the same stretch of the road?
On the same side, yes. On the same side. Why if it's the opposite, must maintain 250 meters if it's not divided by road divider or media.
That is concerning two or more filling stations. How about petrol stations and residential buildings? What is the regulation regarding that?
What matters? What is matters here is just as simple that petrol station must have bigger plot size, minimum of the 1,000 meters squared, and we regulate the size of that building within that plot of land.
You said 1,000 meters wide.
Yes, inside. Yes.
And you're confident that those are the kind of filling stations we have in Lagos right now, and there are no filling stations that have violated this particular regulation.
We have a lot of aberrations. I'm not denying that fact. But what I'm saying is that once we have that, they must have all the safety measures put in place.
I will come back to you, Mr. Oshifuyi. I will come back to you. Let me speak with the residents of Akoka in the studio this morning. I'm not sure if you've heard about their plight, Mr. Olufunmilayo Oshifuyi. They have what they call contamination of their water table in that area. Let me start with Mr. Olufunmilayo, Mr. Engineer Adeyombo. Can you tell us the current situation of what is going on in your area? First and foremost, what part of Akoka exactly are we talking about?
We are talking about the area bordering Chemist bus stop.
Okay.
Does
it get to Paco area?
Not really. From Chemist bus stop, like 500 meters. Okay, 500 meters to the front, and 500 meters to the back, meaning that it extended into Shomolu local government.
Okay.
And we have about 9 streets covered now with the spill.
What caused this?
Okay, there is a filling station sited on St. Finbar's Road, around Chemist bus stop, which we seriously suspected is the one that caused the spillage. And at the beginning, about 2 years ago, they lost some quantity of petrol and from their underground storage tank, and the houses around the filling station started experiencing the smell of petrol in their water, and they were looking at every other thing, not knowing that it was the filling station. After a few days, one particular house, number 4 Abdullahi Street in the area, decided to pump out the foul-smelling water that was coming out of their borehole, and it got to a point they saw something very milky, and they now directed the water to the gutters, and unfortunately by the fence of the building, there are some people doing some petty trading there, like frying bean cakes and all that, and the coal from one of the people frying the bean cake fell into the water, and the whole gutter caught fire.
Oh, wow.
And that raised an alarm around the community, and we had to make representations to the filling station. And the dealer of the filling station owned up to the fact that they have lost some. They keep changing the figure from 200 liters to 500 liters but we know that it's much more.
The operators of the filling station admitted they owned up to.
They owned up that
happened?
They lost some
quantity of the fed petrol.
And they also made some efforts, to be fair to them, to see how to remediate the spillage, but the effort was not.
Ms. Chine, tell us about this effort that the operators of this filling station made. What were the efforts they made?
Okay, speaking personally now, and talking about, like I said, number 4, primary agitators. Let's put it that way. I think our trouble was too much. So it was now boiled down specifically to us. So it was a situation of contamination of even the pipes that had been running through the building.
Right.
So insistence that be changed.
That's a water pipe.
The water pipes. Of course, there was a lot of breakdown. Even the people that were you begin to. I'm not a scientist. My sister is. This is her field. So she had a very good, healthy grasp of what was going on and the health implications for us going down the line. So she insisted on the pipe, being changed. There was a washing machine we also had. She insisted that be changed as well, which was exchanged with what was existent. So it's the same thing as someone wrecks my car. You know what? You fix it.
You fix it.
And just take accountability for that. So that became an issue because she also didn't let up because it wasn't enough. So it wasn't enough to focus on just one flat. It had to be something holistic, something that had to be community-wide,
Right.
And the primary agitation right now, in short, two primary focus is providing us with potable water because at a point in time, Lagos State intervened, but it wasn't the tidiest arrangement in bringing water tankers and expecting us to go downstairs and fetch water buckets and pills. It's
Right.
quite undignifying. And even the tanks, even in dragging the hoses, the way they drag it in, there was no way. That water source definitely was not it wasn't clean for us.
Right.
Exposing us to further dangers outside, so that's an extra additional now. And agitating for potable water, we need that time, and there has to be serious health because we've moved from this is a serious issue.
It's an epidemic.
It really is. To just to bring it down, to make it as humane as possible. We have a primary school there, a public primary school. That's the only public primary school that has about 900 children, and we're talking about children that are less than 12. So you're talking about
Between 3 months
to 12 years old. Being exposed to this water
During our
contaminated water.
preparation towards today,
Yes.
we got report that La Cepa actually did seal
Yes.
up the filling
Yes,
station.
they did. In fairness to them,
Is
they
it
did.
still sealed up?
It is sealed up. Yes,
and
it
this is the
is.
second time, by the way. The first time it was sealed up. But this matter, we've been on it for about 2 years.
Yes.
Right.
And the first time it was sealed up in accordance with the order of the Commissioner for the Environment,
The then
when the then
Commissioner.
Commissioner,
Yes.
that's Honorable Durosimieti. And it was, we were insistent that these people are poisoning our underground water sources from the boreholes because,
Right.
most houses around that area get their water supply from boreholes. And that was what was contaminated by
Right.
this thing. So
Right.
the thing kept spreading because it was not abated by any serious effort from the filling station. And so it kept jumping from one street to the other. Initially, around 2 years ago, it was about 4 streets or 5 streets. But now it has gotten as far as 9 streets. And that's affected, like I said, it has affected about the public primary school that is there.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Olufumilayo, let me come to you on this. You heard what's going on.
I heard, and I think I must share the people's, the inhabitants' concern. And I'm not going to put any blame on anybody. There are a lot of factors that cause all these things. Some of them they are also mentioned there. I know that the underground tank by the petrol filling stations takes a span of about 20 years, which they must assume and replace.
Right.
That's what I know, and I also know from school that is what they need to do. But that purview is not within the purview of issuing permit agency.
Right.
And I'm glad that somebody mentioned last one. It's not only stuff as the Ministry of Environment. Even the Ministry of Energy, Lagos State, also has some overfunctions over these petrol filling stations. When the new standards was coming out last in Lagos State,
Right.
yes, there is an interministerial discussion around it. I could remember that the last the Commissioner for Environment was also in 1 or 2 meetings with us, with all the team that were coming. Yes, they also have their own oversight functions beyond fiscal planning. And again, a lot of things, like I've mentioned, as an environmentalist, that causes this underground pollution. It might even be far away from that neighborhood.
Right.
There's underground movement of water. Maybe it is caused somewhere else, and it's not affecting. Don't forget that place is also a swampy area. Akoka area, Kemis, these are the areas I used to fly when I was younger. I lived close to that area too. So I know the terrain of that place. So need for thorough investigation in that area.
Is sealing off the filling station what do you do in this instance as a permit issuance agency? Is withdrawing their permit, an option in this case? In
fact, this is news to me. Is coming to my hearing. because I'm very sure most of these grievances were never addressed to our ministry or to my agency. I'm hearing of this over this news, over the year now.
You of this particular incident
Oh,
on radio.
yeah.
Just to be clear, this particular issue at the on the front burner at the State House of Assembly. The State House of Assembly actually debated on this not long ago. Let's go on a break. Please stay on the line. It's time for us to take a break. When we return from this break, we'll delve more into the technicalities, of water pollution, remedial measures, long-term remedial measures, short-term, and the health implications of what is happening. Plus, of course, the role of the government in all of these. Has the Lagos State government done enough? This kind of things. When you go to the South Side, you see a lot of them, and you can actually know what is going on when we talk about soil water contamination.
Yes.
It is a massive devastation that will take some deliberate, specific, targeted efforts to rid of. We are back in a moment. If you are just joining us, you're welcome. This is Morning Crossfire, and we're looking at indiscriminate siting of petrol stations in Lagos, focusing on the Akoka allegation of water table contamination in that area by a filling station there. We have on the line Mr. Olufemilayo Oshifoye. He is from the Lagos State Permit Authority, and of course, Engineer Adeyombo Adewale and Ms. Chineye Umeike, residents of the affected community in Akoka. When we return, we'll be taking your comments on Twitter, WhatsApp, and Facebook. Not forgetting YouTube. Remember, we're streaming on all of those platforms. We're back in a moment. Stay here.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Yes, we are back. In case you are just tuning in, you're most welcome. We're looking at indiscriminate sighting of petrol stations in Lagos. The Akoka residents in focus. We have on the line Mr. Olufumilayo Shifoye from the Permit Authority here in Lagos. We have Engineer Adeyombo Adewale and Ms. Chineye Umeke, residents of Akoka area of Lagos. You should know that petrol filling stations are commercial facilities where fuel and lubricants for automobiles, among other goods, are sold. Fuel sold at petrol stations include petrol. You can get that. You can get liquefied natural gas. You could get diesel as well at filling stations, and kerosene. In recent times, there has been a sustained increase in the number of petrol filling stations established in different parts of Nigeria. As of 2018, Nigeria had over 30,000 filling stations scattered all over the country. However, the rapid growth in population and the quest for the development of urban centers and even rural areas has brought great pressure on the environment. This has resulted in serious environmental degradation in form of soil erosion, pollution, oil spills, among others. In June 2018, some residents of Akoka in the Bariga area of the state raised the alarm over alleged contamination of their water and land by a filling station in that area. The underground petrol storage tank of this filling station leaked sometime in August 2017. The tank was said to have spilled its entire contents, contaminating the soil and groundwater of the communities. The residents claimed that the spillage affected their health and disrupted their business activities. The affected communities, according to news reports, included Abdullahi Street, Ayetoro Street, and St. Finbar's College Road, Oyenuga Street, Wulemotu Ajoke Street, Ricketts Close, Shovande Street, and Sholanke Street. In the same year, there was a report done by Premium Times revealing how residents of affected communities struggled with the pollution in that area. And following the report, the Lagos State government announced it was shutting down the petrol station to carry out an environmental forensic audit, EFA. However, residents reports that the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, LASEPA, after conducting the EFA, concluded that the pollution was caused by aliphatic hydrocarbons that could only have come from paints, grease, from roadside mechanics, and so on. We went on the streets of Lagos. We spoke with some Lagos residents on what they think about the sighting of filling stations in residential area. Do have a listen to this.
Having a filling station in a residential area, I think, is a quite risk for people living in that environment.
You can't tell me that you have a filling station in a residential area whereby there is a house, there is a filling station. We take it that the filling station explodes at any time. Those houses will be affected.
If you have filling station where people live, what if it explodes? It will cause a lot of damage to claim so many lives. So it's not good at all.
For everybody that put a filling station in a residential area, the filling station has to be registered. And when the filling station is registered, we can trace the fault back to our government, because you cannot erect a filling station without government accreditation. And for governments to give you accreditation to start running a filling station in an environment, it means they must have come to check before they approve. So the question now is, who are those teams that has come to check, that has come to approve before you start running your filling station? You know, the environmental factor is very bad. Safety of houses, property, life within and around that environment. And if government has done their job very, very well, we should not have any filling station in a residential area. And if we must have, they must have put some hazard into place.
You can't just put filling station where people live and everything. It can go on anytime.
There are estates where the average or the median income within those people there can accommodate that particular infrastructure. Fine, I don't have an issue with that. I don't really think it's a bad public policy, or I don't think it's a bad private investment if it's a private firm that owns.
Because of safety reasons, you don't want to keep those sort of properties close to where people are living, just so you're sure that in the event that there's an outbreak of fire, for instance, you have less casualties. In the event where you put it too close to where people are living, if for any reason you have an outbreak of fire, then there's going to be a lot of lives lost. And because we live in a country where we're not very meticulous with how we manage fire and things like that, it's easy for us to mismanage such facilities, especially with something as volatile as fuel. So for me, I don't think you should put it anywhere close to where people are living.
Indeed. There you go. Our respondents, good news, Undikwe, our correspondent spoke with some people on citing filling stations in residential area. I am going to start this round with you, Mr. Olufemilayo Oshifuye. This issue of contamination of water table is one big issue that shouldn't be taken lightly. But in order for us to, going forward, in order for us to know exactly what is going on, I would like to approach this way. I want to know, really, if we do have, is it a possibility that we have illegal filling stations in Lagos? And what makes these filling stations illegal?
Yes, we have illegal filling stations, just like we have illegal developments all over Lagos as well. So it's not only concentrated on the filling stations. It's also even illegal residential buildings. Some of those buildings are also illegal.
All right.
And we have some tenants inside them living under the illegal buildings. Yes. So we have illegal petrol filling stations.
What makes a petrol station illegal?
First and foremost, according to the law, if you have any development in Lagos State without any permit from the Lagos State government, it is deemed illegal.
Okay.
It is deemed illegal. And that is the overall general cap I can give to anything illegal. And if you also given a permit to do A, B, C, and you have gone to do A, B, C, and D, it becomes illegal. So any variation to what the permit has given you to do, it also becomes illegal.
Is there a particular distance a filling station must maintain between itself, the structure, and residential buildings?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like that in our rules or in our in laws. What it says is that from one filling station to another filling station, it must maintain 400 meters, both sides of the filling stations. Now, within
just to be clear, there is no distance stipulation for buildings and filling station.
Yes, because the filling stations themselves, they are actually made for the residential area, for the neighborhood. But oftentimes, where we site filling stations are actually along the major collector roads and highways or distributor roads, from where it now distributes to other inner recesses of a residential area. So, for example, let me give an example. Let's say Bariga Shomolu axis. There are some people living along the axis. Like, let's say Apata Road. People living along Apata Road. But you can see that there's a filling station by that corner of Apata Junction where there's traffic light. Are we not saying because we are going to site filling station, they must not even be within an area of the residential area? That's the benefit to the residences there.
So I'm sure
they sell kerosene to them as well.
Yes, but I'm sure the right question should be what amount of distance should be maintained between these filling stations and these buildings? Because if we're saying that it's for the convenience of the people, how about for the safety of the people as well?
Sir, what I'm saying that from the building fence to maybe a petrol filling station, as long as they can maintain minimum of 6 meters and they have other safety measures put in place, it can stay there.
But is that in our law?
It is in our law, yes. It can stay there, yes.
All right. Let me come to the studio here, and I'm going to start with Engineer Shiombo. Let's start with the health implication. Has there been any at all ever since this situation started, Adeyombo?
Yes, there have been reports from residents of some discomfort, particularly two cases that came to the fore. One was a woman in Itesiwaju Street who had been using the water with her daughters, and they discovered that the fingernails of the two daughters are pulling off, and they've taken it to everywhere, and the doctors said that it may be because of their contact with contaminated water. There's also this particular person who lives very close to the filling station and said he had some liver problems, and he had been to his doctors and they ran the test. They ran the test and checked everything, and what they could pinpoint it to is that maybe the water he was using, he should try to get another source of water. And this was before he got to know that the underground water had been contaminated.
Right.
And discovered that after avoiding drinking the water in his own compound, that his situation, the liver problem, improved drastically. So he reported that
after changing
the water he was consuming. He was no more consuming the water that came from
the surrounding.
Indeed.
Just to progress this point,
yes, please.
What I normally call ground zero, it's the number one, just right behind the filling station. There's also a resident there that had also complained about skin issues. Sure, it actually took them a while to actually pinpoint that it was fuel from next door that was actually contaminating their water. And even till today, when you get in there, once they run water from their tap, you can see a film of oil still sitting on top of it. They can't use the water in that compound.
Has there been any medical provision whatsoever to residents of that area?
None whatsoever.
Have you made any call for any medical intervention?
We've been making that call from 2 years ago.
Our two primary, two primary
demands
is potable water. We need clean water in that environment, and there has to be health screening for all residents. Because medical is very important.
Let's talk about the clean water. How are you getting by now?
Well, people have been going through hell, so to speak, to get water, and most people were even forced to still be using the contaminated water because the area of coverage of the water is very, very wide now. And some people... by the way, I happened also to be the chairman of the Street Resident Association in Ayetoro. We have a public water. We have to shut it down because it was seriously contaminated. Now, we are not just making mouth about the contamination. After the EFA that you spoke about,
right? We'll get there.
Okay. Let me go on. After the EFA, and then it said that it was aliphatic hydrocarbons, and that we are just raising false alarm. In order for us to know that we are still sane, we had to gather money and then get a public analyst to analyze our water for total petroleum hydrocarbons.
The state government did the first analysis.
Well, they said they ordered it
because it is the Lagos government that actually ordered that.
And they said Total should pay for it. So, and
it was done.
Yes,
and there was a report about aliphatic hydrocarbon, and they also accused the mechanics around of pouring grease on the ground, and this could have caused it. When you head because that's what is here. They accused the mechanics there, for doing all of these things. But because when we're doing this, we like to just lay all the cards on the table.
Definitely.
Did you do your own findings, and what did you come up with?
We came up with the fact that the water was contaminated with petroleum hydrocarbons, not aliphatic hydrocarbons. I think the report. I don't want to criticize government here, but I think the report was inaccurate.
When it came, when that report came out, what was
our reaction?
What was the reaction of the community?
First and foremost, we asked for that report for over a year. It was done and was hidden from us for over a year. We kept.
How do you mean hidden from you?
Well, we have a lawyer who, after the meeting at the commissioner's office when he ordered those things. And we kept writing through our lawyer that, please give us the result of this EFA. We want to be sure that we are not consuming poisoned water. They said they didn't answer us. And after a year, probably hoping that the contamination would have probably subsided, they released the report, not to us still. They just sent a message to us that it has been pasted at the local government, that if we want to cite it, We can also come to LASEPA. Immediately we got the information, we quickly went to the local government secretariat. We saw that it was pasted actually, but some pages were turned off.
Okay.
And curiously
how
enough,
do you know pages were turned off?
well, we followed the sequence. It was paged.
Okay.
It was paged.
All right.
So we followed the sequence, and curiously enough, it was those pages that contained the results of some analysis, and amongst which was the total petroleum hydrocarbon. By the way, I'm a chemical engineer, so I know some of these things.
Just to be clear, you're alleging that LASEPA could have been compromised in this issue.
Well, we have a new LASEPA now, and to be fair to new GM. To be fair to Dr. Fashawe, she has been very, very proactive.
She has.
And she also had an understanding of the implications, because she's a medical doctor, and from her card, complimentary card, I know she has a master's in public health. So I think she has, so she moved swiftly, and probably it was because of her intervention that we had the station locked down for the second time. So let's get back to the
please.
To the report. The EFA gave us some things that we found to be incredible, to be honest. Before now, we felt that the EFA was going to be a scientific document. So we were a little bit, because some of us have science background. Her sister also has, she's a chemist, and she has worked in the oil company in the safety section and industrial hygiene section. So we were comfortable that EFA would bring out the truth.
Right.
But when we saw the thing pasted, and we also saw that some pages were torn off, we smelt a rat, actually. Because it was the day we were told that we moved in to check, and overnight, maybe they pasted it. I don't know when they pasted it, but when we were informed, we moved in, and we saw that some pages were torn off. And we looked at it, we saw that some tests that were supposed to be conducted were not conducted.
Let's quickly, because of time, we have limited time.
Okay.
Let's take some comments that have come in so far. I have this one from Okoro BC from Ogba, and he or she says, Yerevan fuel station on Ajayi Road, Ogba, is sited badly amongst residential buildings and narrow road. Initially, there was a council sign on it. Then my fears was confirmed. The council sign left, and sales
broken.
Recommenced. Obviously, money exchange hands at the expense of people's safety. That came in from Okolo BC from Oba BC. Thank you for sending in that one. This other message from Chibuzo from Satellite Town says, we're suffering in Satellite Town as a result of the tank farms they built in our area at the jetty. Precisely, life has been made difficult by this. Tank farms and the trucks coming in to buy the petroleum station to buy petrol have totally damaged the road from Alakija down to Apuliado. Chibuzo, your message has been received and read as well. Let's open up the phone lines now and have a conversation with the rest of Lagos and Nigeria as a whole. The numbers are 01 277 0993. That is 012770993. You can also call 012771993, 012772993, and 012773993. Drop your comments on our Facebook portal. I'll go on Facebook in a moment to take your comments there. And our Twitter as well is at Nigeria Info FM. That is Nigeria Info FM on Twitter. If you would like to join us on Facebook, it's Nigeria Info 99.3. Feel free to do that right away. Let's get on with our conversation. Sunday is calling us from Aja. Sunday, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Sunday.
Welcome.
I'm calling from Aja. I'm impressed by the panel that you have there, especially the residents and the government personnel that spoke earlier. I don't know if he's still
on the line.
Online.
Yes, he's listening to you right now.
But you see, this is the problem that we have in this country. We have a situation where people cannot tell us the simple truth. even from government. If he can be saying that this is the first time he's getting this information on radio, I am sorry, I beg to disagree with that. It is not possible, because earlier on he said that it's his office that gives the approval, or so to say. I stand to be corrected. If that is the situation, then how come he is now telling us that today is the first time he's getting that information?
Well, that filling station has been there for about 26 years, so it's also possible that he has no idea, when the permit was given. It's possible.
No, but the issue now is that there was a crisis, there was a problem in that community, and other agencies got to know about it. How come his own agency did not get to know about it? How come? Let me assume that he did not get to know about it, or his agency did not know about it, then that means that there is no collaboration. And where there is no collaboration, that means there is a problem. We can't get things right. I think it is high time different agencies that work hand in hand should begin to collaborate, because this has been done.
You've made a very vital point. Agencies working in clusters, quite important. Benjamin is calling from Alimosho. Benjamin, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Sorry.
Good to have you.
It's a nice journey, your program. I just want to make one or two contributions.
Yes, please, go on ahead.
I want to salute the courage and the doggedness of those guys that came to the studio this morning. They're pushing further for a better environment. Now, the public man that you called there over there, maybe in the ministry that you called, he said the tank farm or the tanker in the ground should be replaced every 10 years.
Every 20 years.
Every 20 years. You and I know we have been living in this Lagos for more than that. 20 years is just, that is 1999. How many filling stations have replaced their tank under the ground? How many of them? So we are all sitting on deck of gunpowder in Lagos. We're all sitting on everybody. See, and one funny thing about Lagos terrain is that most of Lagos is field. That with any little contamination from any location can spread all over the place.
Right.
I think if the people that are assigned to do this work could do the job very well, they should go to all the places so that they can replace their underground tanker, so that though we need the service of all these petrol stations, but if negligence and money is exchanging hands in their offices and they are neglecting to do their responsibility at the expense of our life in Lagos, I think these people need to wake up to do things
right
in this nation.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carry on. God bless your good work.
God bless you too. Mr. Olufumlaya, let me come to you very quickly on the issue of replacement of tanks that have spent over 20 years, underground. Who is to ensure, because I am not certain whether it's your ministry or your agency that is responsible for this, but who is responsible?
Yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you for this. And this is the essence why we are here, is to enlighten ourselves.
Right.
First and foremost, my authority has to do with the spatial planning and to approve development on the land. When it comes to the operations is beyond my authority. In terms of operation, we have Ministry of Energy in Lagos State, we have LASEPA to also look at the environmental implications of the operations. We equally have, from the federal aspect of it, the
DPR.
Program, DPR. They are actually the one to go after these petrol filling stations to look at the safety measures in there, together with our Lagos State counterparts, which is LASEPA and Minister of Energy. You see, in terms of collaboration, the other man mentioned, I want to thank him for that. But you see, the issue at stake is environmental matter, environmental pollution.
Right.
Definitely, those people address their grievances towards the LASEPA and the Minister of Environment. That's why we never heard about it.
Okay.
Sincerely, if you have heard about it, we will have done something about this.
All right.
And in terms of the replacement, like I've mentioned, it is beyond our own.
Let's quickly listen to Wale. Wale is our last caller on the program this morning, and I think we lost Wale's call. Wale has been on the line ever since you started talking. But I will just take this one last call before we go.
Okay.
Let's see who is here. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Oladipo speaking.
Welcome, Oladipo.
Yeah, I like the gentleman on the phone. I think he is one of the government officials I've listened to in recent time that is a little bit more sincere. But I want to ask, if they issue licenses to filling stations to set up, I think there should be a system whereby these licenses are renewed. Just like our driver's licenses are renewed every 3 to 5 years, even our international passports. So in the process of renewing their licenses, I'm sure there should be checks and balances that should be done. And the issue of replacing these tanks should be part of it. We cannot compromise standards. We cannot compromise safety. And I don't think the permitting agency should be shifting safety compliances to other agencies. It is not done anywhere.
Right. Thank you so much for calling. Chine, very quickly, we're wrapping up right now. The State House of Assembly mentioned this in one of their sessions, one of their plenaries. Were you invited? Were the residents invited?
No, we're not. But that, for us, was not actually the primary. I mean, it wasn't important whether we were or were not there. We were just actually happy that somebody responded to our pleas. And in fairness to him, he moved quickly, very fast.
Right.
He just got to know within a week he was actually tabling our issues there.
That's
and then
Olu,
yes, Olu, and then the Lasepa GM was there within the next 2 days, within 48 hours. But please, just for me to make a point.
Yes, please.
I need to go back to what he said about exhuming the tanks after 20 years. That hasn't been done by Total. That hasn't been done by this filling station.
The tanks are still there.
It's still there. So if that can actually be done, would really appreciate it. Then we now actually know they're taking a complaint seriously.
Mr. Olufumilayo Shifuye, General Manager, the Lagos Permit Authority. Thank you so much. You've always been answering our calls anytime we call on you. Thank you for always been there.
Yep. You're welcome, sir.
Many thanks to my guest this morning as well. We don't have time. We really need to run. Engineer Adeyombo Adewale and Mrs. Chineye Umeke, residents of the affected community in Akoka. Thank you so much for coming through. And a very, very big thanks to our news team for putting together that particular report on indiscriminate sighting of filling stations in residential area, particularly Good News Indukwe, our correspondent who did that report. Many thanks to those who assisted in the production this morning. Zainab Yakin, Yvonne Haifo, thank you for being a part of it. Babatunde Abdulsalam also joined in. It's been an amazing conversation on the Morning Crossfire. We can take this to our online socials at Nigeria Info FM to continue the conversation there. You can also follow us on Facebook and YouTube as well. Feel free to always engage us on all our social platforms. I'm Sheriff Quadry. We're back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing day, don't you think? Yeah, have a fantastic day. Bye for now.